What's going on, guys? It's Fight Season MMA, and today I want to make a video talking about why the UFC heavyweight division is better off not having Jon Jones in it compared to having Tom Aspinall as the champion, have him versing the #1 contenders, and why Jon Jones is actually holding up the line in the heavyweight division of how him retiring is going to be better for the sport than not. As we all know, Jon Jones is one of the greatest UFC fighters of all time. He won the light heavyweight championship at the age of 23 and just beat Cyril Gane at UFC 285 to take the UFC heavyweight championship home too. During that time, Jon Jones' legacy is absolutely insane, but right now he is absolutely holding up the heavyweight division, and he says he's going to retire very soon. So today I want to make a video on my take that the UFC heavyweight division is going to be better off not having Jon Bones Jones as the champion and having someone like Tom Aspinall reign supreme. But first, before we jump into the video, if you guys enjoy the UFC content, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. That is the best way to help the channel grow. And while you're down there, please turn on the post notifications just so you guys are always notified when UFC content releases. But without further ado, let's jump right into the video of why the UFC heavyweight division will be better off without Jon Jones in there. So as we all know, Jon Jones became the heavyweight division in March of 2023, and he was going to defend his title and possibly retire in November of 2023 at UFC 295 fighting Stipe Miocic. As we all know, also, Jon Jones tore his pec prior to that fight about 2 weeks out, and so he wasn't able to continue. This fight got rescheduled to UFC 309 on November 16th, 2024 in a very amazing fight being held at Madison Square Garden. But throughout this entire year, the UFC heavyweight division has been in a very weird place because it has been very stagnant during that time. So I want to talk about today of why the division is going to be a lot better not having Jon Jones there. Jon Jones is looking for money fights, and the big fight that everyone is going to want to see is him versus Stipe Miocic, and that is until Tom Aspinall became the champion, defended his title against Curtis Blaydes, and is calling Jon Jones out there saying that he is better than him. Everyone has now moved past Stipe Miocic and wants to see that fight, Tom Aspinall versus Jon Jones, but Dana White, the UFC, and Jon Jones and Stipe don't want to make that fight happen. Now, it is completely understandable. These two individuals have been in the UFC for a very long time. They have definitely earned their stripes to call their final fight, probably for the both of them, but eventually these two are going to retire and the next generation is going to take over. The first reason I do believe that Jon Jones retiring is going to be better for the heavyweight division is, yes, he is a massive name for the sport, but having Tom Aspinall an active champion reign is going to be something that is going to be absolutely insane. We could get some of the biggest fights that the UFC has been waiting for, possibly a Tom Aspinall versus Alex Pereira battle for the UFC undisputed heavyweight title if Pereira beats Roundtree, and Tom Aspinall and Jon Jones and Stipe Miocic retire right then thereafter. That would be an incredible fight, and then Tom Aspinall can finally go and fight someone like Cyril Gane. Even though Gane isn't the greatest fighter, we all know that that would still be a very entertaining fight to be had. Tom Aspinall's on a track to be one of the greatest UFC heavyweights of all time, and Jon Jones is stepping in his path. So if he retired, that would allow Tom Aspinall to flourish within that division and be able to be at the helm of a very active heavyweight division inside the UFC. The next reason that I don't think Jon Jones is being a good addition to the heavyweight division is because of the cockiness coming with Jon Jones. We all know that Jon Jones says he's the most dangerous man on the planet. I know the Dana White glaze has been coming out saying that Jon Jones should be pound for pound #1 in the entire world, but in reality, he wrestled Cyril Gane after coming off a win over Dominic Reyes in 2020, which was arguably a fight that he should have lost to a lot of people's scorecards. Jon Jones is, yes, a great fighter, but he hasn't been able to perform at the same level that he once has been. Cyril Gane is not a great grappler. He got taken down and controlled by Francis Ngannou in their fight at UFC 270, which was an incredible feat considering Ngannou is a pure striker and has no grappling on to say at all. So to be able to get controlled by someone like Ngannou was very impressive and very disappointing to see Cyril Gane do. Now, truly, the big thing about Jon Jones is, like I said, that cockiness that he has. He hasn't done anything, and he thinks he's the best, and he thinks he has that kind of pathway right to the top to where he should be deserving of all the different things at the heavyweight division. And yes, I understand his legacy, but in the heavyweight division, he really hasn't done anything. And beating Cyril Gane, in my opinion, isn't that big of a feat for a grappler. I think someone like Jair Del Almeida could possibly go in there and beat Cyril Gane just off a straight stylistic matchup. I think Gane will beat Volkov. I think Gane can beat a lot of these different individuals like Sergey Pavlovich just because he is going to be able to outmove them and go kind of avoid them a lot better. But someone like Tom Aspinall, he won't be able to beat. Someone like possibly Jair Del Almeida, he won't be able to beat. Some of these bigger grapplers that Cyril Gane has faced, he won't be able to contend with just because of how good he is on the feet. So truly, I think that Jon Jones' resume at the heavyweight division isn't as great as everyone is saying. We all know that he got that win in dominant fashion, but beating Cyril Gane in that heavyweight division in a grappling standpoint wasn't really that good. And 2, I don't think Ciryl Gane really wanted to be in there with Jon Jones. I think he was intimidated more than anything, because seeing him on that fight day, all that fight week, he just didn't look like the same fighter as we saw when he fought Sergey Spivak or when he fought Tai Tuivasa prior. And lastly, about Jon Jones, is he is not going to take the fights that anyone in the UFC wants, considering that he is just looking for money to set himself up prior to retiring his UFC career. I've said countless times, Jon Jones has had one of the most illustrious UFC careers we've ever seen. He is such an amazing fighter in that light heavyweight division, but now at heavyweight, he is looking to just get 1 or 2 more fights in there to then pull out and retire as one of the greatest of all time. He also is scared to fight someone like Tom Aspinall, I know, considering that his record is only has 1 loss on it. I'm not sure the amount of wins on the top of my head, but that 1 loss came to against Matt Hamill, which was really not great, because he did a 12-6 elbow, which was illegal at the time, and that is getting unbanned in October or November of 2024 inside the UFC. So I think Jon Jones kind of understands that he's going to appeal that loss and could possibly have a record of all time with no losses in it. And fighting someone like Tom Aspinall, fighting these up-and-coming phenoms inside the UFC, would be a very bad thing for Jon Jones to do, considering that he's getting older, considering that he's not in the same shape that he once was, which could really lead to a loss coming his way. Ultimately, I think Jon Jones is a great fighter. I'm not saying that he isn't, but truly, him being in the heavyweight division now isn't an addition, in my opinion, more than a subtraction. He is just kind of going in there, calling the shots of what he has, and has only had 1 title fight in the past year and a half. And I understand he tore his pec for that, but I do feel like that they should make the Tom Aspinall fight and kind of pass up on his fight with Stipe Miocic, considering that he had the opportunity to fight him. He tore his pec in training. Aspinall's holding the belt. He's the rightful and true champion, and I think Jon Jones should be the one to fulfill his dream and his wish and pass it on to the next generation of fighter to be able to kind of get that gift or that curse that Jon Jones would be by beating or losing to him prior to him sending off into the sunset. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Fight Season MMA, and please let me know what you think down below in the comment section about this video, that Jon Jones is actually a negative piece to the UFC heavyweight division. For the reasons I've laid out in today's video, I truly think that the heavyweight division isn't a great place with Jon Jones around in it, and I think the UFC community and UFC organization would be happier having Tom Aspinall run the joint, being able to fight very often, and being able to cement himself as one of the greatest UFC heavyweights of all time. He is so skilled and just absolutely so amazing, and wanting to be active and hungry, which would not only allow the UFC to fill events, create a bigger star considering of how talented he is, considering his last fights have lasted for a total of 3 minutes and 20 seconds over the 3 of them, which is an absolutely incredible feat. Tom Aspinall is the new face of the heavyweight division, and I think that Jon Jones being in his way is the biggest thing for the UFC right now, because I think if they're ultimately able to invest in that fighter, they will be able to cash out on him later. If you guys enjoy the UFC content, please have a like, comment, and subscribe. That is the best way to help the channel grow. And while you're down there, please turn on the post notifications just so you guys stay updated with the most recent MMA content that drops daily. I try to stay updated with the most recent MMA news and get it to you guys as soon as possible. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys very soon with more UFC content and news.